To Watchers in the Fourth Dimension Live. I'm Anthony.
I'm Diana.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Riley, and what, we're live?
So before we get started, just a huge shout out of thanks to the Digital Media Track and specifically Tyra for helping to get this set up. We're so happy that we get to do this. We've wanted to do a live panel for years and just haven't been able to make it happen before this year. So, for anyone who is not familiar with Watchers in the Fourth Dimension, maybe people watching on Twitch who are not, we are a Doctor Who podcast where we are watching our way through the entirety of the show from 1963 until wherever the heck the show is when we finally catch up. And right now we're in the Peter Davison era. Now, we're actually going to do something that we don't normally do and talk about all of Doctor Who and not just where we're up to on the show. So we're going to talk about some modern Who as well in this. But before we get started, we'll go down the line, introduce ourselves, just make sure everyone knows a little bit about us. So my name's Anthony. The podcast was really my idea when I graduated from my part-time MBA program, had all this spare time on my hands, and didn't know what to do with it. Start a podcast about my big passion, Doctor Who. I've been a fan since I was about 5 years old, I think. My dad brought home some classic episodes on VHS, and I was just hooked. So lifelong fan, and this podcast really is a labor of love.
I joined this little brigade because I also had a Doctor Who podcast that was watching through it, but also drinking copious amounts of whiskey, which turns out is not a stable way to run a podcast. Editing was also quite the challenge. So things, got out of hand, too many hangovers, and this one invited me to come join this little group, and it's been a lot easier to get through the episodes when I'm not halfway through the bottle of Jack Daniels. I've been watching Doctor Who for a very long time, was not a child person watching Doctor Who, but got into it in my mid-20s, and watched all of the classic stuff, and then the 50th anniversary was coming, and I said, I do not deem myself to be worthy of watching the 50th anniversary episode if I have not watched all of the Doctors. So I went back and watched them all, and the ball got rolling, and here I am today.
All right. Well, I'm Julie Philippek. I'll give you a last name. And I started watching Doctor Who in college, and one of my roommates was watching the episode The Satan Pit, and I literally walked in as David Tennant was doing his little monologue. And so I was like, well, what is this, and do I need to watch it? And so I then restarted with Eccleston. But I never got around to Classic Who. And so I get the loving job of never watching any classic and being the person that's like, I don't have any nostalgia. This is the first time I've ever seen this episode, and I'm going to tell you what I think, which is where my snark comes in. And yeah, I joined from the beginning because Anthony and I met at Timegate until it became Wholanta, courtesy of Alan. And that's about it.
Hang on, just before Riley introduces himself, I'm already adding +1 to the Julie rolling her eyes at Anthony over nostalgia count.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, I'm Riley. Yes, I met Anthony through Timegate. Let's see. I always like to say that my first moment of seeing Doctor Who was being a child, staying up late on public broadcasting in Georgia. I was very, very young, and for some reason that just the opening title sequence and seeing Tom Baker's face scared the hell out of me, and I ran upstairs. Many years later, I then hear about this revival of the show, and I still didn't get into it, and then I started and I watched it, and then in the first 20 minutes of watching Rose, I turned it off, and I was like, no. And then I started again, and then it just seemed to click. And then after just being into modern Who, I talked to Anthony, and then Anthony brought up the idea, and I said, well, yeah, I love classic television. I would love to do this. And been there all the way. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everyone. So, as I said, we're doing something a bit different, and the lovely Tyra, when she was helping me write up the proposal for this, actually, really, Tyra wrote it for me because she's amazing. one of the things we landed on was our favourite moments from Doctor Who through basically its entire history. So this is going to work a little bit like one of our season retrospectives. And I've got a series of questions, and we're going to go down the line. Diana will answer first, and then it will circle back to me for the last answer. And then hopefully have time for a little audience participation as well. So, with that, I'm going to ask, who are your favourite Doctors? And you get 2 picks, one classic and one modern.
I'm going to be honest, this whole brief of telling me to pick favorites has been very challenging. But routinely, no questions asked, my favorite classic Doctor is 6. Thank you. Thank you. I was hoping I'd get at least one, because I know that is not necessarily everybody's vibe. And partially, especially if you'll listen to the show, you may know that I kind of like the characters that's not everybody's vibes. And 6, to me, was so strong and just so impactful when he came in, and so alien. He's so odd and off, and I don't necessarily think I would be BFS with him in the same room, except probably I would. But especially coming on the heels of 5, which I think we are finding is a softer.
That's a kind way of putting it.
I'm trying to put it very kindly, because what he is on the bottom of my doctor list. And so 6, absolutely, hands down, my favorite overall even. But New Who is going to be 11. He was the one that was on while I was first coming into the show, so there is that, like, he's my first Doctor, even though I did start with 9, because I'm autistic and I watch them in order. But he also has the funniness and such good writing and such good stories for him, and they really seem to really appreciate that this was a whole character that needs things to be able to bounce off of, and I think he does it so well. I love bow ties, I love fezzes, I love everything about his era, so 11, 100%, yeah.
All right. It should come to no surprise of those who listen to the podcast who my favorite Doctor is of Classic Who, and that is Mr. Patrick Troughton.
Surely not.
I love him. He's my little hobo doctor, stealing hats along the way. But I just really like that kind of vibe. Just he's fairly physical in the sense that he's always moving his hands, moving his body, not necessarily the jackrabbit that is Tom Baker. And I just love a lot of the moments that he does get with his companions, some of the conversations he has with Victoria, and then obviously his buddy Jamie, and some of the comedy routine that they would occasionally get into. That's kind of obvious. And I don't want to sound like that person who just is on the train of loving certain modern doctors, but it is David Tennant. It helps that was the first one that I saw. I was watching before Matt Smith really became the Doctor, so I would rewatch a bit of David Tennant until the Matt Smith stuff came out. And so it's, he just does a wonderful job. And I know that there are certain things to dislike in his era, but I don't think that takes away from Tennant's actual ability to be the Doctor. I digress. Riley.
Oh, yeah. Well, first I want to say that, whoa, a little hot. Okay. First I want to say is that me and Julie have not seen all of classic Doctor Who, so our picks then are very limited to where we are now, which is Davidson. I will say that I'm going to be very boring. I'm going to say Tom Baker, and the reason why is because I think, looking over just the ones we've seen so far in their completion, that Baker is a good combination of the gravitas of the first Doctor as well as the kookiness of the second Doctor. And no offense against the third Doctor, as we like to call him, he's like the action figure Doctor, the super spy Doctor. But I think that to give that sense of true alienness, it's going to be Baker. So far, who knows? We'll see what happens with the rest of the classic show. For modern Who, I cosplay the 10th Doctor, but my favorite modern Doctor is Capaldi, is 12. And I was thinking about that, and the reason why is that, one, he gives the best monologues, absolutely, by far. And just to digress a little bit, because I love telling the story, is that at Timegate / Hulanta, I sat and saw Jamie Matheson speak. He wrote The Mummy on the Orient Express, and he wrote Oxygen. And he was talking about Mummy on the Orient Express was a first season 12th Doctor episode. And so he said during the panel that he asked Moffat, how should I write this character? And he said, write House MD. Write him as House MD. And I can't help but see that. And then we all went to Gallifrey this February, and I actually had a chance to talk to Moffat at the bar. And I asked him, after I waited a little bit, other questions, and then I asked him, I said, hey, Jamie Matheson said that you asked him to write 12 as House, and he denied it completely. So that's just it. And so yeah, I have to tell that story, but make your own choices when you watch them again, if you think that is their comparison. Also, the other thing that I love about 12, and sorry to keep going on about 12, is I feel like he has so far the best character arc for a Doctor. Like, it really is a clear beginning and a clear end. So yeah.
I wonder if Jamie Matheson got an angry text from Moffat after that interaction. So I've been pretty outspoken on the podcast. My favorite classic Doctor is the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. I cosplay him, and what I love is he has that kind of clownish energy combined with a lot of darkness in the character. And at points, sorry, Julian Riley, please. At points it goes really dark with how he's dealing with Ace and what he wants out of Ace and what he wants her to be and the way he goes about doing that. It's I wish we'd had another season. That's all. You're good. Okay. My favorite.
I can't believe that actually worked. I really couldn't hear you.
I know. Spoiler earmuffs.
My favorite modern Doctor, and strangely, this Anglo-Welshman seems to have a bit of a Scottish agenda here, because my favorite modern Doctor is also Capaldi, for just about every single reason Riley says. I also think he is one of the two most capable actors to ever play the Doctor, the other one being Troughton. And it's close for me between 7 and 2 on Classic, by the way, but Sylph is
I'm
my
just
Doctor.
right and you're wrong.
I'm about the same from 6 and 2. Yeah.
So with that, the next natural place to go is companions. So same rules, favorite companions, one classic, one modern. Diana.
Okay, this was so hard. This was so hard. Because I have some that are favorites that are obstinately my favorites, and mostly it's because I enjoy irritating people. Adric. But considering the fact that we just finished watching him, I can also understand that he's not actually my favorite companion. He's just there to irritate everybody. So really, my favorite classic companion is probably Barb's. She really just out of the gate sets the right standard for what especially a female presenting companion can do, and she gets so many fun parts, and she gets to go love on Ian a little bit, but she also gets to drive a lorry through some Daleks. She's such a badass, and they gave her this academic background. She was kind of an archaeologist, not a very good one, but she had this historic background of being able to work with that kind of thing, and it was a really strong start. But yeah, love her. My favorite New Who companion, it was even harder because most of my favorites are out of New Who, but is really Rory. Rory is such a gem. I love him so much. From his little weenie first appearance as tugging on Amy's apron strings in his little nurse outfit, being a little whiny baby. I don't know what is up without Amy. I don't know. And then by the end, he's a badass Roman centurion, which honestly, anybody in a Roman centurion outfit is okay. But he also gets that really great, he gets a good character arc, especially as not a primary companion, because he does go in and out with his, going in and out of existence. But just the whole thing, they did him so well. He's such a good actor for that part as well. And he has a brilliant dad. So yeah.
Hey, Another not surprise,
Actually,
everybody.
you don't get a classic pick, Julie. We already know what
We
it
just
is.
skipped that one.
Honestly,
Say no more.
honestly, I was gonna say Jamie, but I was like, I gotta let Julie have that.
And one of the main things that I like to talk about Jamie and what I get frustrated on is sometimes you have a lot of writers or you have these showrunners who say, we need to have a companion that the audience is basically trying to be the companion, and so they like to have the modern day companion in relationship to that. And I just argue time and again that you don't have to have a modern companion for the audience to understand. Jamie is the perfect example. He's from a different time period, but it still doesn't stop him from doing what he's doing. He will call out on calling things wee beasties, talking about planes. But it's not like he gets frozen in fear or anything. He just keeps going. He is a little bit of a fighty man, which I always love. Has the Scottish accent, wears the kilt. I mean, it's the inspiration for Jamie Fraser. So 2 of my best loves of fictional characters, and I adore him. And my favorite modern companion is Donna. And a lot of main reasons for it is, one, we were on the coattails of the thing that was happening with Rose, the whole Martha situation, which got really frustrating. Donna comes in immediately and is, I'm not going to love you. This is not what this is about, and I'm going to call you out every time and just and everything. And the other thing too is just that Tennant and Catherine Tate just have such good chemistry. Mm-hmm. Their version of Much Ado About Nothing is one of my favorite versions of it. It's so good.
So good.
And so to find someone who just has that chemistry with the Doctor, I think theirs is some of the best of all of Doctor Who. And that's why she's my favorite.
Huh? All right. Well, for my favorite classic companion, I like my companions short and sweet, so I'm going with Katerina there. Okay, all jokes aside, so actually I'm going to go with Leela because, well, obviously Julie has her crush, and then when Leela came on, I was like, wow. And also, the other great thing about Leela is that I'm pretty sure she has the highest kill count on the show outside of the Brigadier who blows up alien races for breakfast.
I know, but Barbara got kind of murdery at times.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she got
As
that
did
up there.
Ian.
Yeah. I swear, I think that's probably one of the funniest things. It feels like like I said, of course, obviously, that show takes a lot from Doctor Who, Rick and Morty, but with her and the Janice Thorns, I really felt like there was a point that I was like, stop doing that! Stop killing people with this thing. Favorite modern, that was a little bit difficult for me, but I don't understand it. I know there's not a lot of fans of this companion, but I like Clara. I do. And I think one about her is that she really, I mean, all the companions go through a lot. It just felt like she went through a hell of a lot more than most do. And then secondly, I really thought that like the companion should always have the role of being kind of the ambassador of humanity to the Doctor. And I think that plays out really well, going back to my love of the 12th Doctor, because she kind of performs that action with the 12th Doctor, and also she's kind of teaching him how to open up. So it's like it is more of a balanced relationship than, I mean, can we get a little bit into 5 right now in our complaint or our general complaints? Yeah. So like, because like right now we're in the middle of 5, and I swear it's just like this is the only Doctor I've seen ever on modern or classic that I think actively hates his companions, like every time. Okay. Well, there you go. So yeah, those are my answers there.
All right. Well, I was thinking long and hard about my favorite classic companion, and I'm going to say something Julie's going to really like. I agree with Julie. Forward. Yes! Jamie is probably the best classic companion. I think what helped with that so much was the incredible on-screen chemistry between Patrick Troughton and Fraser Hines. And I've thought this for a long time. A few years ago, Alan released a collection of essays called Companions in Time? Children of Time? Yeah. Children of Time. Yeah. And I wrote the essay on Jamie. It was actually the first time I've been published, so thank you, Alan.
I have that book. I have
Available
that book.
at your local retailers.
I did not realize that was you. Hi.
You didn't realize I wrote the Jamie one either.
No.
Amazing.
That's crazy.
Modern Doctor, I agree. Well, modern companion, sorry. I agree with Diana. it's Rory. I think about when I was watching the Matt Smith era 15 years ago now. Wow, was it really 15 years that
Isn't that crazy?
started? My thinking as I watched the dynamic between Rory and Amy and how it could have been another Rose and Mickey, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But how Rory reacts to his fiancée getting scooped off and traveling through time with this strange man, and he has no idea how safe she's going to be. I see a lot of how I think I would react if my girlfriend was scooped off by the doctor, in being like, "Oh my God, this is kind of dangerous. Is she going to be okay?" So,
I would also flirt with the doctor the way Amy did.
yeah. So, you know, I because I have such empathy for Rory and really feel like that would be my reaction. That's predominantly why I see a lot of myself in him. Plus, he's a fellow Williams.
I'm just
He's a
glad we
pond.
didn't say Amy because Rory is so much better than Amy, and Rory gets the raw end of the deal a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I love him too, and I understand why he's a favorite.
Well,
Yeah.
and one of the reasons I like him so much is because Amy's whole character arc, it revolves around Rory.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll come to the microphone.
Ask your question before you switch topics. So do you guys consider River a companion? I'm a little shocked when you said that. Said River.
So River is one of my greatest all-time characters of all time, period, in the whole history of the whole world. But I do not think she is a companion because she does not consistently travel on the TARDIS on screen, A. But also, the power dynamic between her and the Doctor is not the power dynamic between the Doctor and a companion. The companion should feel overwhelmed by the Doctor, and River does sometimes, but only in her character growth, not in the sense that she is actually less powerful than the Doctor.
And my thinking is it's kind of similar as with a lot of the unit crew, right? They were series regulars, but the Brigadier I wouldn't classify as a companion. Sergeant Benton, Captain Yates.
I mean, if I were able to choose two people companions, I would be like, I'm going to argue for Benton just so I can say Benton. But, you know, we all know my crushes. I'm sorry, everyone.
All right, so our next category is favorite monsters or villains that aren't one of the big three of the Daleks, the Master, and the Cybermen. And yet, once again, one classic, one modern.
So if I can say the Cybermen. I really dug deep because I think that the classic monsters are all really interesting because there's so many of them that just don't exist in our modern lexicon anymore. And one of the ones that I loved, every time I loved both stories he's in, is the meddling monk.
Oh, yeah.
Super dug a Time Lord before they decided that Time Lords were righteous assholes. He's so just another dude, with, a monk outfit on. And he's just hanging out in, rural medieval England, just doing his thing and being a crafty little bugger. And if that's not what the Doctor's doing too, just, out there being weird. And I loved their dynamic. I loved the coming in and out of his story where we didn't know exactly what he was. What does he know? What does he not know? It's one of those things that would not work today because the Time Lords are so well established. And they are so established as major assholes. And he was so, is he dangerous? Is he not dangerous? He's so fun. He was so likable. Absolutely the meddling monk. I wish that there was a way to bring that kind of energy back in. But then New Who, 100% hands down the Weeping Angels. Scariest thing I've ever seen. We have I Am From Texas, and everything is bigger in Texas, right? So we've got this one dude that helped found the Republic of Texas because we won't let it go, and he is like a 250-foot tall Sam Houston statue. And every time, just out in the middle of the highway, out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and every time I drive by, I'm like, staring the whole time because I can't shake the fear the Weeping Angels have instilled in me for every statue on the face of the planet, and that is incredible. So definitely the Weeping Angels.
All right. So my favorite monster in classic, and they I had to. I'm sorry, everyone, but I had to do it.
That's
I
a
know.
surprise.
surprise. And they come back in Modern Who, but the Zygons, the original Zygons, first off, that story was one of the reasons why I ended up liking Harry at all. And but
Because he got shot.
no, because he was actually creepy and was about to
Yeah.
attack Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
But no, I just think that the concept behind them was great. Them capturing everyone. The nurse who was in and out of Zygon was one of my favorite just side characters ever. I loved it. But I am giving some props to my girl Eldrad as Lady Eldrad. The presence that she had on screen, the way she carried herself, in that the costume was brilliant. It's beautiful. I plan on cosplaying that maybe next year. And I just adore Eldrad. For new Modern Who, I really like the clockwork droids
Yes.
in Girl in the Fireplace. Like, they're just, it's so weird, and it's one of those situations where, like, they weren't like bad, but they were bad, and then like just the clicking and the timepieces and everything, it just worked really well. It was a good part of the story they were in, and if I were to see one around, I would no, absolutely not. I'm gonna go away.
I think they're beautiful.
Oh, they're pretty, they're gorgeous, but also very creepy.
So they're not here this year. They're on a cruise in Norway, but there's a couple
Yes.
who always cosplays as those androids,
Yeah.
and
It's
they
a
are
stellar.
very good.
It's stellar.
It's so good.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm the person who I think loves monsters the most and villains from the show. Classic was really hard to choose, but as I was going through, I literally was going through all of my notes and going through all these photos of every single googly-eyed monster you could find from the show. I think the one that really stands out is the Axos, and the reason why is just it's of course it's the inversion of the classic villains as ugly or just disturbing looking. They're so unsettlingly clean and crisp, and they have like almost like a mockery of the human form because it's like almost like a Roman statue, and of course just having that disgusting other side when inside their ship and stuff like that. So it's like a really good counterbalance. And for Modern Who, I think it's the veil from Heaven Sent. And what I really liked about it is that actually it was at Stellarfest where I was on a panel talking about Doctor Who villains and monsters, and a person who was running the panel did a very good PowerPoint about bringing up each different one. And I had noticed as we discussed each one seemed to hit on something that's almost ingrained in all of us in our collective subconscious about things that you're afraid of. Obviously with the Weeping Angels, don't close your eyes, keep looking, don't close your eyes. With the veil hits that very primitive sense that we all have in our nightmares, or at least when we were children, which is that this is a creature, also its look is classic, so it looks great, but that never stops lurching towards you. You can keep running and running. It's almost like Pepe Le Pew that way, but but when you're a kid, that's terrifying. You can run and run and run, but you just know that somewhere there's this thing that's still just always going. It will never tire out, but you will. So that's why I picked the veil. Yeah.
Well, for classic Doctor Who, and those who've listened to the show for a long time know, body horror I find disturbing. Right, the idea that you are human and you could become something that's not human and you have no control over it. So for that, and because they're a great premise and I would love to see them back sometime, the Crinoids. Again, a space vegetable that if it touches you, you're going to become one. Ooh, haunting. Very, very haunting. Modern Doctor Who, on the other hand, and this ties into a lot of what Riley was just saying, the monster, or possibly the non-existent monster, in Listen.
Yeah.
Is there something under the bed? Maybe not. That was a brilliant episode with a really, really cool concept for a potential monster. Absolutely loved that one. Well, we're going to start getting into some favourite stories here, and we're going to do each pick 3 favourite classic Doctor Who stories and 3 favourite from the modern show. So Diana.
This was so hard, especially because I did technically skip all of 3 and most of 4, and going a watch episode and like analyze by episode, which definitely changes the way that you look at a piece of content when you are watching it for funsies and low key in the background while you're studying for credentials. Versus I need to make sure that I actually know what's happening, or an attempt to know what's happening. So looking back at the classic episodes, I really found that the ones that really stuck with me, one of them hands down is shocker, Earthshock. And mostly because it does encapsulate why Adric is one of my favorite companions, and the story was so good. It really is one that I will watch. I love the whole tie-in to the fact that Adric is the reason that any of you are here because he killed the dinosaurs, which means that mammals were given the opportunity to turn little weasels into lovely, thoughtful human beings that hopefully use their brains and aren't just like giant weasels. But that is a different topic. My other 2, though, go back to the first Doctor. I really, really loved the Romans. Yeah. Partially, also known as Ian and Barbara's Airbnb time. Possibly because of some of that, but I'm also just a big Rome nerd, and so I loved all of that. I'm a big fan of the historicals, and the Romans really did it a solid one for me. But I also really loved the Keys of Marinus. Oh, yeah. I thought it really used the fact that early Who were so much more episodic with using such long serials to really enhance the way that the story was being told. And it really gave me almost modern video game vibes, where you're going from one area, you're going from this map into this map because you're doing this and that, and there's going to be a different theme and a different all of it was so well done. And it's not like a perfect story, but it is a good one, and it's so fun.
So I know it was long before you joined us, but when we did that one, we called it Super Marinus Brothers.
Yep.
Yes, very. Yeah, it was. It really reminded me of some of those big, epic open world games that I really enjoy, and it just each episode was so different, and I really did enjoy most of it, but it is one of my
one
favorite.
really awkward part, and that's why it's not in my favorite.
Oh,
yeah.
And we're just gonna
honestly only coming to me as I'm speaking about it right now, so minus that part, but the rest of it.
You want to tackle modern as well?
Oh yeah, I should probably do that too, right? I got so distracted. So new Who, this one was really tough. So, golly, so Human Nature, the 2-part, excellent. So scary. That is kind of my idea of what scary is, and it's so haunting. Similar with the Clockwork guys, Girl in the Fireplace. Ooh, that was probably when I first watched that one where I went, oh, this is a show that I can really dig my teeth into. But I also, one of my favorite episodes of television, and everything is always going to be Vincent and the Doctor.
It's fine. Continue.
I know. Look, I'm so knowing that we agree on a whole lot. I was so relieved to be sitting ahead of you. Oh my God, I don't have to go what she said. Now you have to say it to me. But I also want to give. I know. I'm so only at 3. I also want to give an honorable mentions to Demons of the Punjab. Such a cool story. Such a great way to be like, hey, you know what? Things other than London and Colorado exist. There is history around the rest of the world, and it was so well done in a really important time period of the Indian subcontinent's history. So really, really cool to see that relationship between India and Pakistan, and that relationship told from the perspective of somebody who it's impacted, and with an actress that it impacted her as well. And so it was incredibly artfully done.
Nice. Go ahead, Julie.
All right, classic. Luckily, we didn't. Ours are different for all classic. I love Tomb of the Cybermen. It's iconic. It's a wonderful, wonderful Cyberman story. It has that visual of what I like, the honeycomb tombs, and the music that plays as they're breaking out. It's just super glorious. And obviously that you've got some of that funness between the Doctor and Jamie, like, you know, hitting each other and like trying to be silent and they're not being, just everything about it. It's wonderful. But I did also end up going with a third Doctor story, and it is the demons.
Oh, yep.
You've got Delgado. You've got the Brigadier being wonderful. You've got Benton and Miss Hawthorne, probably one of my favorite just one story people of all time. I adore her. I ship her and Benton. They're going to have wonderful, beautiful babies. And I am, but in all seriousness, I thought the Demons was just really well done. And from a Pertwee perspective, I think it had everything that you could want. Because again, Delgado chewing scenery is one of my favorite things. And then for classic, I was in between a couple of them, and I figured that Anthony might hit on one of them, so I'm going to choose The Brain of Morbius. Just the acting in it. You got a little bit more, you know, brain chewing and things like that, scenery chewing and all that kind of stuff. I love the concept. I love a lot of the side characters, and so just one of the brilliant ones that I love from Baker. And then Modern Who. Yes, I am a fan of The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. To be scared of children in gas masks is one of the craziest things. And we get introduced to Captain Jack, and like River, Captain Jack is one of my favorite characters who I don't really consider a companion, but is there a lot, and I love him. And I love that weird dynamic that they have where it's like, well, now there's just 3 of them in the TARDIS, and okay.
All trying to kiss the Doctor.
All trying to kiss the Doctor, and they're all kissing the Doctor, let's be honest. And then I did agree on 2 of them from Diana, and that is The Girl in the Fireplace and Vincent and the Doctor. Just beautiful, beautiful period pieces, so that's one of the reasons why I like them both. And I just think that there's a lot of emotion in those. I don't necessarily even think that they're forced. And obviously, the end of Vincent and the Doctor, it's one of those situations where you're just like, I am like crying, angry crying, and just, and Bill Nighy, just to have that one little cameo appearance, I'll take it all day, every day. Love him.
Oh. Well, I just realized looking over my list, and mine has a very consistent theme, so let's see if you can figure it out. 3 classic stories, Ark in Space. I really enjoyed that one tremendously. Obviously, as we discussed it before, it's highly influential on Alien and any sort of mixture of sci-fi horror. Brain of Morbius, which Julie already mentioned. I love that one because it's just the set design on that is just classic, just beautiful gothic looking. And speaking of gothic horror and Doctor Who, there was a panel on that at 1:00, right after us. And then breaking the pattern is, I had to put it because it's just so crazy, is The Chase.
But you didn't say Web Planet?
No, I'm saving that one. I'm saving that one. I thought about that one. I really did, but I wanted to go with The Chase instead. I didn't want to push people too much. The Chase is insane. You have Dracula, you have Frankenstein's monster, you have a Christmas episode in the middle of it, right? I mean, just absolutely insane. Oh, that's different. That's Dalek's Master Plan. Oh, goodness. Yeah, those large ones, they just kind of blend together when they do that, don't they? So for 3 modern, I'm going with one of Anthony's favorite, Midnight. Midnight.
I really like Midnight.
See if you can guess the theme. Midnight, Listen, Heaven Sent. All 3 very horror-focused episodes.
Surprise, surprise, for the man who watches horror films
Exactly.
the entirety of October.
That's right. After DragonCon, it's already Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone.
I was going to say, only October?
Yeah.
Well, for me, 2 of these in classic we haven't yet covered on the podcast, but I'm going to say The Curse of Fenric, one of my all-time favorites. It really does show that Dark Doctor a little bit more, and the way that he, in order to save the day, he has to break his companion's faith in him. Whew, hits me every time. Another one, I gave it 10 out of 10. I truly believe it probably is the greatest Doctor Who story of the classic era, and that's The Robots of Death. Everything about that is perfect. The design, the cast, even the model work, which isn't always great, but lends a lot of atmosphere to it, and it's just absolutely brilliant. And then everyone on the podcast knows I love a bit of nostalgia.
Add it.
Take a drink. And so for that, I love a good anniversary special. And there is no better anniversary special than the Five Doctors, which we are getting to very quickly on the show. I'm so excited. But again, you have not Hartnell, his first replacement, Richard Herndl. You have Troughton back, Pertwee comes back. Tom couldn't be bothered, so they inserted some footage from Sharda. But just seeing all of those doctors on screen and interacting and facing off against multiple enemies as they work to get away from Gallifrey's nonsense, basically.
Who wouldn't?
It's fantastic. It's so good. And then for the modern era, well, human nature and the family of blood. You know, I think for us Brits, the two world wars are really, really emotional. I remember as a kid on Remembrance Sunday, which is the Sunday closest to what would be Veterans Day here, participating in, watching the memorial services. I was in the British equivalent of the JROTC at one point, and I had to be standing there in parade as the wreaths got laid, and I had my great-grandfather nearly lost his life in World War I. A shell landed close to him, exploded, buried him, and a fellow soldier saw his helmet sticking out and dragged him out. And if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here today, because that was before the birth of my grandmother. So World War I and World War II are really emotive subjects. And that last scene in The Family of Blood, where they go back, well, they go forward and see, is it Tim? Is that the character's name?
No, I think so, yeah.
They see Tim in his wheelchair at a remembrance service. I'm bawling every time, and I know it's coming, but as for the fallen is read out by the priest, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I'm also the kind of person who cries at movies on planes, and the person next to me is going...
Anthony, you said you were in the British version of JRTC. Does that mean you're like a honorary member of UNIT?
Yes.
No, that's what
Yes.
I thought.
And then, again, I love a good anniversary special, and the first one of these is actually objectively very good, and that's The Day of the Doctor. The way that came together, the way that was built to wrap up all of these storylines that had been lingering for a while. And then you get so many punch your fist in the air moments when all the TARDISes are coming in, and you know, the War Council one goes, "Good God, all 12 of them," and then someone goes, "No, sir, all 13," and you see the hand pull the lever down. You get that close up on
The
Capaldi's
eyebrows.
eyes. I had a viewing party at my house for that when it came out. I had managed to stay spoiler-free for about 6 hours, even though this was all on the internet by then. That moment happened, and I squealed. It was not very manly, but I squealed, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that. And then, of course, you have Tom Baker showing up. Once you hear that booming voice, "Yes, I rather think you might," oh, shiver down my spine. He comes on screen, and it's the waterworks again. I'm crying again. Then the other one, I'm going to say, objectively, do not look into the storyline of this one. Do not analyze it, because it falls apart faster than anything else. But it's hugely nostalgic, and that's the power of the Doctor. Everything I've said about Chibnall is still valid. It's not a well-written story. It's just a well-written. It's a okay-ishly written story, pumped full of nostalgia. You've got Daleks, you've got Sidemen, you've got the Master, you've got Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, David Bradley all showing up. You get Tegan and Ace again, and again it is.
Is that when we get Rasputin?
Yes.
Then yes,
It's-
okay,
it's-
absolutely,
it's-
hands down. If I can dance along to Rasputin, then I'm good.
It's so
Absolutely.
fun to watch, and at the end when you have the gathering of the companions and their support group, and Ian shows up, that hit me hard in the feels as well. And I'm so glad we got one comeback for Ian and for William Russell before he passed. All right, we're going to try and make this last one relatively quick because I do want to give some space for audience questions, if there are any. So, recognizing that your favorites may not necessarily be the most accessible stories for a newbie, if you were to curate a playlist of 5 stories to introduce people to Doctor Who, which ones would you pick? And I know I originally split this out between classic and modern. If anyone wants to consolidate into a shorter list, you can, or you can do both.
I'll go real fast.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. So I didn't necessarily think that Old Who necessarily needed to be accessible because I think that you need to be able to take it like it is. But so that being said, my list of classic episodes are An Unearthly Child because duh. I also threw in Dalek's Master Plan because I think it's excellent. 10th Planet, The War Games, and The Happiness Patrol because that one really sticks in my soul, and if it sticks in my soul, then you must watch it because that's the way my brain works. New Who is The Empty Child, Silence in the Library, The Water of Mars, The 11th Hour, and The God Complex.
Okay.
All right.
Because I love John Paul Sartre.
All right, so classic. I have the Aztecs because I guess you get to see lovely Barbara and all of that regalia, and I love it. Tomb of the Cybermen, that one stays the same. The Invasion, because despite the missing episodes, it's some of the best animation that we've seen, and I just think that it's a really brilliant unit story and everything. Spearhead from Space, I think is a great introduction to color in Doctor Who, as well as an introduction to Pertwee, and as well as just like being a very solid story, because despite what we say, his stories are the most stable across all of those seasons. And then the Robots of Death, because, as Anthony said, it's beautiful and gorgeous. Modern Who, this one I struggled with a little bit. I haven't done a lot of rewatch of some of New Who, partially because of this podcast. But I like The End of the World. If I can have Britney Spears' Toxic as a classic Earth ballad, then obviously that's one of my favorites. Human Nature and the Family of Blood, again, a lot of the reasons Anthony said. A Good Man Goes to War because you just get to see Matt Smith go off the rails a little bit. And I kind of threw a couple in there, Asylum of the Daleks maybe, Heaven Sent maybe, just to kind of throw in some other things that are not just going to be all David Tennant stories.
All right, going rapid fire. I tried to select ones that were not missing episodes. I really thought about, like, if I was trying to convince someone who's never seen the show, what would help. One, missing episodes. That's a medicine they'll have to take later if they get into the show. Also, I didn't want to pick anything that had any, like, macro, huge momentum. Like, I wanted just a slice of life type of thing where it's just like a, contained adventure. So, classic Who, the Romans, the Ark. Also, I wanted to spread it out amongst the Doctors as best I could from at least the ones that we've seen. Tomb of the Cybermen, because excellent. The Demons, and Pyramids of Mars. For Modern Who, I'm going to go with just Dalek, the Eccles, not going to be fused into the Dalek with Capaldi. Partners in Crime, The 11th Hour, Time Heist, and Boom.
Okay.
And boom, Riley's done.
Yeah, that's it.
So I was trying to go for accessibility on this. So if someone is coming fresh to the show, they haven't watched it before, what's going to be there that doesn't have an enormous amount of lore that you're expected to know?
Yeah.
Right, because we start getting into problems with that, particularly in later eras of both classic and modern. The more it goes on, the more lore builds up. So I'm going to say the first episode of An Unearthly Child, but not the 3 with the cavemen. Those ones.
But bludgeoning with rocks.
Yes, for anyone who hasn't seen it,
it.
the first Doctor is about to brain someone with a rock. It's intense. The Invasion, all 8 parts.
You agreed, Anthony.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It truly is. I'm also going to go with, doing this from memory, what did I settle on? The Claws of Axos. That's a solid master story. You get those excellent monsters, really, really enjoyable. Then Genesis of the Daleks. I feel like for a newbie, you have to have Daleks in there somewhere. And what's better than the story that talks about how the Daleks came to be? Really, really enjoyable. And then last but not least, I've got to give some love to my boy Sylvester McCoy. And again, one that doesn't have too much lore or expectation of things you should be understanding, I'm with Diana. It's the Happiness Patrol. It's a brilliant, fun story, layered in political commentary for anyone who says, "Oh, Doctor Who's too woke these days." That was an anti-Thatcher storyline. I mean, come on. And then modern show. I'm very vocal. I dislike Rose Tyler, but Rose genuinely was a very good jumping on point. The thing I like about Modern Who is it does periodically do a jumping on point. So I would also say, for that same reason, Partners in Crime, the 11th Hour, which I think is the strongest intro story for any Doctor ever. Then the problem you start getting on when you get into Moffat is there are a lot more story arcs. So it's very hard to then say this story, that story. But some of those are just phenomenal. And
Go, Anthony.
yeah, I'm procrastinating because I don't remember what I wanted to say. So give me a second.
There
Hot.
it is.
My Adderall
Hot.
hasn't kicked in yet.
I guess it's going to be midnight for you then, so we'll just put you down for that one then.
Go to hell, Riley.
We're going to have so much fun when we discuss that in 5 years.
Yes, we are. We are. Yeah, I think Moffat's first season finale was great. After huge operatic, big season finales under Russell, you have the penultimate episode where it seems like it's going to come to that. And then it flips the script, and in that last episode, and the name of that two-part is escaping me right now, Alan... The Big Bang. Yeah.
Not the one with Shelton.
No. There's no theory in this. It's just the Big Bang itself. But wandering round, that then becomes a much quieter second part, and it's smaller scale, and we needed that after years of Russell just trying to make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, which isn't always what you need to do. Then for my last one, I'm actually going to go back to Eccleston and say Dalek. That was the story to bring the Daleks to a modern audience, and it worked so well. It really made them scary again. It fought against I can just run upstairs and they can't get me. No, they can.
They've
Good
mastered
luck.
stairs now.
Yeah.
It
Although
wasn't that they mastered stairs, they flew.
They did that in '88.
yeah, they did.
Oh, well, we're not there yet.
Spoilers.
So we have about 8 minutes left. So what we're going to do is open up to audience questions, and I'm going to make sure, is that microphone on, lovely sound people? So if you have a question, please come up to the microphone, and this is effectively an Ask Me Anything type situation. So,
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
Oh, here we
That
go,
was
here we
yes,
go.
Rob.
Uh-oh.
Such a quick response to ask me anything.
Hi, guys. So good to see your faces.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
From each of you, favorite idiosyncratic piece of clothing?
Oh, wow.
Well, it's obviously the question mark sweater vest that Seven wears, because I was wearing it the other day, and I'll be wearing it probably tomorrow morning.
I don't know.
We'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Why?
Because brains are slow today.
Do you know something?
I don't know if it's a piece of clothing, but I miss the Doctor having a musical instrument. So the recorder for the second Doctor is something that says, let's bring... 12 had a guitar, but I don't know, an electric guitar is not very practical. Something that you can just carry in your pocket would be handy. So how about a Doctor gets a harmonica? Let's do that. Let's give a harmonica to the
Something that you
Doctor.
can play Colonel Bowie's March on. Like, it's because that's obvious, that's the song, so we might as well do that. I like the coats that always have like the inner lining and stuff like that. Capaldi had it, and then the third Doctor had some nice coat action going on. So just give me a very good coat. And like David Tennant's is fine, but it's too clean, it's too nice. Give me something flamboyant.
I'm nuts. Of course, I have a favorite thing. It's the Fourth Doctor scarf. I honestly have it in my suitcase, but it's a little warm today, and I'm not about to sweat because that's not my life. But I wear it I wear it all the time. It is such a fabulous piece of costuming, like one of the most ingenious pieces of costume work ever because it's so iconic for the Doctor. It is insanely impractical, so much so that they had to make him a short version for filming. But it is also one of those things that I can wear out in the world. I get complimented on it all the time. People are like, "Oh my gosh, is that like a brand new label? Who is this?" And I'm like, "The BBC."
I have one as well, and yeah, I've worn it. I mean, it's Atlanta, so in the winter I try to avoid being out in the cold too much. So I tend to go from my house to my car to my office, and keep it like that. But I have worn it and got compliments for it in the corridors of the office as well. So, who have no idea what it is.
No clue.
All right, well, Alan.
Okay, since Ms. Hawthorne was mentioned earlier, favorite single appearance guest character?
Easy. What's your face Mulligan that is in Blink?
Oh, Carrie Mulligan.
Carrie
Oh,
Mulligan
yeah.
as the girl in Blink. Absolutely incredible. The fact that Blink was not, other than the Weeping Angels, that it wasn't really mentioned today. Incredible piece of film and television. She did such an excellent job, never being on screen with Tennant, but having incredible chemistry with him through VCR. Incredible. Love her, love her, love her.
We're all Googling, I can tell, to try
Yeah,
and figure
well, no,
out the
all
names
right,
of these characters that we've
The
seen.
first thing that popped to mind, and it's not. It's because it's so silly. Is Cyril from the Celestial Toy Maker?
Oh, no.
I can't get my mind past this. The concept, I find it so funny that of all the things, it just seems so very English. Instead of all the things of, what shall I do to stop the Doctor and confound him? An annoying schoolboy. That's what we should do. Okay, sure. And just how unsettling it is that it's played by a middle-aged man.
To continue my theme of the kind of little eccentric ladies, will be Professor Amelia Rumford
God damn
from
it.
Stones of Blood, which if I were to
Good
have
one.
done another classic, then Stones of Blood would have been my fourth
Yeah,
choice
yeah.
because I adore Stones of Blood. But she was delightful. And she didn't really need to be there, but she was just brought everything and helped evolve that story and elevate it, and I love her.
Well, I was going to say Professor Rumsford, but luckily with the Fourth Doctor era, we are blessed with a plethora of dotty old ladies, so I can pick another one. And in this case, I'm going with Amelia Ducat from The Seeds of Doom.
Oh.
I love how chaotic she is. How she just shows up to try and get, the, what's his name's, Harrison Chase's attention away while the Doctor goes in, and she's like, yes, this painting, we need to talk about this painting. They didn't need to talk about the painting, but she's just brilliant.
Speaking of, for a non-jokey answer, because we just covered it, was B. Richard Mason, The Visitation. That's like the closest we can get to a Lord Flashheart character, I think, on the show. And I still stand by it. Matt Berry needs to be put on Doctor Who in some manner or form. I don't care what, just in some way. He needs to get on that show.
Matt Berry as the monk.
Matt Berry, unless as anything, I'd be fine with him just doing the voice of a computer. It'd be fine. I'm fine with that.
All right, we have time for one more question.
If we don't have oh,
We
good.
do.
This is something I've been wanting to ask, because there's a couple of, at least two that I know of Doctor Who novels that have been written by actors from the show. Tom Baker did Scratchman, thank you, and Sophie Aldred did At Childhood's End, and both of them read the audiobooks as well, and they're brilliant. So maybe for a bonus episode, maybe Doctor Who Book Club?
We've talked about it. We've talked about doing a Target book club.
You're gonna make me read?
The problem
Or listen.
the problem with doing it is just candidly finding the time.
Yeah.
Right? Riley jokes about you expect me to read. All four of us are pretty busy. This is why we tend to be more bi-weekly than weekly.
So I think Diana here is semi-volunteering to help with that.
Oh, that does what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can do that.
Maybe we can have some guests on to do that with Diana.
All right, yeah. I like to read.
I was looking over some of our old notes because we've been doing this for a while.
Yep.
A very long while. And one thing I had noticed that this has been missing from the show, I mean, even within the classic series, is that I really, really miss the, multi-episode serials, each episode having a title.
Yeah.
And I was looking over it, and I just really appreciate it because we had ones such as The Priest of Death, The Nightmare Begins, Bell of Doom, and they make great heavy metal album titles.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
they really, I wish that was back on the classic show, but that's, because I was saying, we should, while we have a little bit of time, maybe reminisce about some of the stuff from the past that we haven't, or do we even have
think
enough
we're
time?
at time.
No, oh, no.
Riley.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The
Well,
irony, a Doctor Who panel with no more time.
Yeah, if only we had a podcast to talk about this more.
No, right?
Well, with that, we are at time. So thank you, everyone, for coming. And of course, until the next time, have a good one.